Okay, our next writer has already been up here, so I have to go like this now. No, I'm just kidding. Our next writer is Julie Oleszek. Julie has always loved teaching elementary students and writing stories. After 20 years of teaching full-time and writing part-time, she switched gears. Now she writes full-time and substitute teaches in Naperville. After 2.5 years of writing her debut novel, The Fifth Floor, it was released last month. Her book can be found on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and locally at Anderson's in Naperville and Townhouse Books in St. Charles. Julie, please, come on up.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Kevin and Anne. I'm not sure where you are now. Hi, Anne. And thank you for inviting me here and for all the volunteers that make this happen and all the audience that came out on such a rainy night. Really appreciate it. I'm going to be reading, as Kevin said, from my debut novel, The Fifth Floor. The Fifth Floor is basically about a young girl who has pretty much a carefree life until a traumatic event happens in her life, and she kind of keeps it secret to herself because it's so traumatic until 10 years later it begins to unravel. A lot of her stresses go unnoticed because she's growing up in a very large family, and if anyone here has ever grown up in a large family, you know that things do go unnoticed. So this is the story of The Fifth Floor, and even though that this is written as fiction, it is based on a lot of actual events, and I wrote it specifically to try to help families and parents deal with teens or children that do go through traumatic events. So chapter 1, and it's not that long actually, chapter 1. The first doctor my mother drags me to is a tall, thin man. He seems to think his direct approach will intimidate me, and maybe it would if I cared, but I don't. I follow him into his office, leaving my mother staring at my back from the waiting room. He climbs behind his enormous desk, piled with papers and files of patients, and motions for me to sit in one of the wingback chairs opposite him in front of his desk. I sit, and he stares. "Stand up and turn around," he says with as little compassion as he can gather. I turn slowly, and the motion has me feeling dizzy. Again he stares, making me uncomfortable. "How old are you?" 17. "Your mother said you haven't eaten in over 3 weeks. Is that true?" I shrug. "If you don't eat, you know, I will be forced to put you into a hospital bed with tubes running down your throat and into your stomach so we can feed you. You don't want that, do you?" "No," I reply. He leans back in his office chair. His clasped hands, except for his 2 index fingers, which are pressed together pointing toward the ceiling, lean steadily against his chest, and his elbows rest on the chair's arms. "So tell me, what's on your mind?" "Nothing." "It's rather difficult to think of nothing, wouldn't you agree?" I am barely breathing, let alone thinking. Just being here is exhausting. "What month is it?" "February?" "No, I think it's March." "March? Do you like high school?" "It's a crapload of bullshit." "Yes," I lie. "Are you involved in after-school activities? Sports? What about friends?" How did I get here? Which way is out? The door. It's over there. Where is the waiting room? There's a short hallway outside this office, past 2 other office doors. The waiting room at the end of the hallway opens to the left. "Are you going to answer my questions, Anna?" "What questions? Did he ask me about my classes? What questions? Did he ask about my classes? Grades? Months ago, I might have given him the truth. Classes? Crap. Grades? Crap. Today, I stare at my hands, deep in thought of things I am trying desperately to ignore. "No," I whisper, slumping further into my chair. He suppresses a sign of frustration. "But I don't care. I didn't ask for this. I don't want to be here." "Well, young lady, I can see you're in no mood for conversation. Maybe next week you'll be ready to talk." He nods toward the door, then looks at me calmly. He casually pulls a folder from the top of piled papers and begins writing. The moment I crawl into my mother's car, I fall asleep. I never see him again. The same week, I find myself sitting in another doctor's office. "Hello, Anna. I am Dr. Ellison." Dr. Ellison is a woman with purpose. She's about as tall as my 25-year-old sister Marie, who is 5'7", and has an olive complexion like my younger sister Bridge. There is a desk in her office, but she doesn't sit behind it. Instead, she sits in a leather chair that hisses with puffs of air when she sits down. I sit in the same type of chair across from Dr. Ellison, facing a large outside window. "Tell me about yourself," she says. Her voice is real, somewhere between calming and strong. I don't say a word. "If you're not ready to talk, and if you don't mind, then I will. I have 2 little boys at home, and I am grateful to talk with young adults like you who offer more of a meaningful conversation than my little ones." I am captivated by the way she offers information about her home life, as though we are conversing over lunch. Her shoulder-length hair bounces when she talks, much like her words do. "Would you like to play Chinese checkers?" she asks. "There's no need to talk to play, but you will need strategy to win." Her manner is confident without being condescending, and though I don't feel like her equal, I know we are on the same path. No thanks. "You will know when the time is right," she says. She continues talking about other things, pausing a few times to ask a question, but I offer nothing but a nod. I sense she understands me even though I don't understand myself. Outside the big glass window, the sun sparkles in the blue sky, and the frost growing from the corners of the window reminds me of the bitter cold outside. The clouds are puffy and a brilliant white. The treetops, although completely bare, present themselves as strong bodies of life. It all looks surreal. An hour passes, and I have not spoken more than 2 words. "You are a very sick girl, Anna, and to let you go home is to let you die. I am not willing to allow that to happen." Reality slams against me. Panic begins to rush my chest, squeezing air quickly from my lungs. It is not the mention of death. Considering the way things have been, I have known for some time that dying was inevitable. I'd gotten used to the idea. Hunger pangs had long passed, and my exhaustion had grown heavier every day. I had decided weeks ago that if I should die, it would be virtually painless. And now Dr. Ellison is refusing to let it happen. I fear what her words mean. It will take work to keep myself alive, and I no longer have the drive or the strength to make it happen. Those days are over. No, I can't. I look at Dr. Ellison. Her unspoken words tell me I will do what she asks, even though it might be against my will. "You have a choice," she says, standing up, ready for whatever game has just begun. "We can go peacefully to the hospital, or I can call for assistance." And that is the end of chapter 1.